book discussion, Elizabeth Finch by Julian Barnes. This is hands down the most important book I've read this year, and one of the most important books I've read in a long time. I think this has the potential to become a classic. And it's very simple. Barnes tackles two of the most important questions humanity is facing. One is beliefs/religion. The other one is love. Those two, and I've said this many times on this podcast, there are things that science can do, and there are things that science should not be doing. And what science should not be doing, literature and the arts should pick up. And this is exactly what Julian Barnes does. He picks up belief and religion, and he picks up love. Those two are topics that we don't understand. Maybe we will understand them one day, the same way we understand life and evolution, and 500 years ago we didn't. It's possible, but definitely for now, where we stand as humanity, Elizabeth Finch is a book that I think every classroom should be reading. Everybody should be reading this. Barnes has a way, he defies gravity, because he is, this is not a suspense novel, but you can't put the book down. This is why he is, in my opinion, he's up there with Somerset Maugham when it comes to most important British writers, as far as I'm concerned. This is not even on podcast. It's November 27, 2023. This is Krim Delco. This is the second episode today. So for the year, we are up 106.5%. The market's up 18.5%. We're outperforming by 88%. Julian Barnes, Elizabeth Finch. It's a novel about a lady, a teacher, and her pupil, and a relationship that these two build. And that is the narrative. And there's really not much about this narrative to be said in terms of, like I said in my Amazon review, there's no sex, there's no murder, and there's no betrayal. This is if you want to write a narrative that binds people, that suspends people, that keeps people up at night, this is not it. But still, Barnes manages to write a novel that you don't want to put down. You want to read till the end. And I think it's because his intellectual journey is into territory that is very, very difficult to tackle. He's up there with Dostoevsky and Anna Karenina, for example. There is the opening line of Anna Karenina is actually being alluded to in the book. The Anna Karenina opening line is, "Happy families are all alike. All unhappy families are unhappy in their own way." This is Dostoevsky's line, and Barnes actually questions this. He says, "I don't believe that." And this is the first topic I want to discuss here, which is love and happiness. In terms of the way Barnes sees this, love and happiness are things that you can work on, that you can earn, love and happiness are like David Deutschian, in a sense that you iterate and you get better at it. It's not just something that happens to you. It's not, happiness is not, you're not just happy, you work for it. The same way you build your body to be strong, or your mind, you go study to be good at physics or engineering. The same way you read books and you understand literature and things along those lines. The same way you get better at love. So all happy marriages are happy in their own way, and all unhappy marriages are unhappy in the same way. This is Barnes's quote, and I find that really strong. This goes back to even Peter Thiel, who turned that Karenina line around, said, I don't want to go there now. Thiel says that all happy companies are happy in their own way, and all unhappy companies are unhappy in the same way. And Barnes says this doesn't just apply to companies. Barnes doesn't talk about Thiel. I'm just saying this doesn't just apply to companies. This applies to people, everything in life. And I find that this is a really, really profound insight, right? Happiness is to be earned. And there's this concept, Brett Hall talks about it, Deutsch talks about it, Popper talks about it. That is that, Nabil Ravikant Naval Ravikant, talks about it. Let's say morality and happiness. Those are things you can earn. You can get better at it. Those are muscles. You don't just, people walk around life and they say, I'm not happy. Marriages fall apart all the time. We have a divorce rate of over 50%, all that stuff, right? And the solution is not to have more therapists and more pills. The solution is, hey, let's sit down and learn how to be happy. Let's work on it. And this is, I think, an opening door for this. This book is a door that opens up this avenue. And this is one of those beautiful examples when life crystallizes, when life becomes clear because you read something. Beautiful, beautiful. So very happy about this. Again, this is one of the topics. The other big topic is there is a big sequence in the book that talks about Julian the Apostate. Julian is the last emperor of Rome that was a pagan. He got killed in a battle, and after him, Christianity was officially reinstated as the religion of Rome, and therefore Christianity took over forever, and here we are today. Now, some of the big questions in the book are, one is, what if this didn't happen, right? What if Julian had not been killed? What if he had remained an emperor until his late years, and he kept the pagan Hellenic, Romano-Hellenic culture of pantheism and all the gods and all of that stuff? And then Barnes asks, well, what if that had happened? We would not have had the necessity for Renaissance, for example, because there would not have been Christianity ruling over 1,000 years and sort of making it impossible for the Hellenic culture of knowledge creation, of looking up to the stars, of opening yourself up to possibilities. All of these things would have happened naturally throughout the thousands of years, throughout the 1,000 years of medieval darkness that came after Rome, because that's what Christianity was, medieval darkness. Christianity was sort of an early form of communism. Everybody's the same. The poor, they need to be taken care of and all of that stuff, which is great in a sense, but it also hurts progress the way we humans like to see progress. Arts, sex, pleasure, good life, happiness. Like, again, we go to the first point. You got to work on your happiness. What the Christians did is the opposite, the inverse of happiness. They beat they beat themselves. It's not good to make money. It's not good to have love and sex and all that stuff. So the question also, would we have a need for an enlightenment in that? Those are very deep questions, because think about it. Monotheism is a bad thing. And if you think about it, even the other monotheistic religions, Judaism and Islam, are the same thing. And all of that came from this idea of monotheism, which started with the Old Testament. And I don't know the history that well, but it started with Jesus, and then the split came between Judaism and Christians, and then the Christians, and then later on Muhammad with Islam. Those are and those religions dominate the world. Some of them, I mean, they dominate because of colonialism and things along those lines, but they also dominate, and this is another question that Barnes asks, is, well, why did those religions win? And he has a kind of sarcastic answer. He says, well, the Christians had a much better, their religion just worked better, right? Because you have a truth, you have one God, and you know what's up. And with the pagan sort of Hellenic culture of believing in all these gods, you had to deal with their capricious feelings, like when there was bad weather, it's because Zeus was angry, right? So what do you do with that? Now, in Christian times, in the medieval times, it wasn't much different, right? God's angry at us, but at least there was one God, and somehow Christianity led us to science. So we still got there, right? And therefore, I want to, to some extent protect Christianity on that front. But, Barnes is not really making judgments in terms of, Christianity is bad, Judaism is bad, Islam is bad, and pantheism is good. He's not saying that. He's saying just imagine if. And I think that alone, he rattles your brain, he opens up doors, he gives you an opportunity to step into a world that could be much more interesting. It made me, Billy, I'm working on robotics right now, and it made me think about the question of, well, do robots need a religion? Are we humans stuck in this illusion that we have a deterministic world? Because that's what Christianity teaches us, and maybe the world isn't deterministic, and maybe that's why the pagan Hellenic culture of, and all the other cultures before, by the way, the superstition, the belief in all these signals that come, the dust storm today is different than yesterday, this is a signal by the god of wind, things like that. Maybe they have merit because the world is a lot more complex than we think. And let's say now we're building intelligence in robotics, embodied intelligence in particular, and we might want to think about this. This attitude of being too deterministic, and maybe we need to open ourselves up. Maybe robots cannot. Maybe the intelligence that we build with robots should not be anthropocentric and deterministic like we are. Maybe it should be more open. Maybe we should have more of a pantheistic attitude. In other words, there should be more rights and wrongs. But then on the other hand, I also ask myself, now this is a tangent, but a really strong question that I came up with also while reading the book, which is, does intelligence converge? If we look at all kinds of possible forms of intelligence that could exist in the multiverse, is the one that we kind of know, which is the intelligence which is based on evolution, which is iteration, low cost of error correction, low energy consumption, high rate of exploration, those sort of things, that's what we call intelligence. Is that what would proliferate throughout the multiverse, or will we see many different intelligences? So that's my my summary of the book. For new listeners, why do I do these summaries? I think this book is a very good example of why I do the summaries, because literature is not just a pastime of hedge fund managers. It is part of the job because it helps us think. It helps us navigate through interesting thoughts, and this is a beautiful example of how, when you tackle the big questions, you might not find the answers, but you find interesting solutions that you can keep working on. Thank you.